Hey people, you're watching the Unity Sessions with your host Jay Walker of TLD. We're joined today by none other than Icie.
What's
Icie,
up, man?
how you doing, bro? You good?
Man, I'm good.
Good? Nice to see you. Yo, I've been checking out this guy for ages now. It's the first time I've seen him in the flesh, so
Really?
I want to do a complete timeline, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Right. So talk us through. If your gospel career was on the timeline, where does it start, and give me the steps as we go?
Let's say 2003. Me and my brother joined forces to create Commission, and that was just like me and him and a few other people at the time, just starting off. There was like 6 of us.
Go on, drop the names. So we can do our Googles.
They wouldn't even find them because it was Icie, Solva, Dele, me and my brother. Yeah.
And your brother's called?
Gabriel.
Yeah.
Bless MC. So we started that, but over the time, everybody wanted to different people want to do different things, so it just ended up being us two. And we met up with a friend, Yemi Adeshina. He kind of took us under his wing, a management kind of role, and he, from there, we just kind of pushed out and just tried to hit up every show we could, anywhere we could perform, we would perform, and we got into the studio, created a song called Up to You, and that kind of just went off. Every Saturday, we were performing it, and it was in a climate where, Christianity for young people, it was that was, if you wanted to be cool, you were a Christian. If you weren't a Christian, people would be like, what you did. And so a lot of that generation grew up and listening to that kind of music. It was grime era. It was kind of fresh on the scene, but we came from watching people like El Dubsy, who was almost we call that the godfather of gospel grime. Realizing that, right, okay, you can put this message in the music that's out at the moment in this format, and connect with the people. So from there we carried on for about 3-4 years, just putting out music, videos, just performing as much as we can. And then what's this, 2012 or so, 2012. I said, okay, you know what, we're going to put it down. Because we felt it needed to work for a season at a time. Commission was doing well and everything, but there was a time where we thought we were forcing it a bit, the music, and it didn't resonate as much anymore. So we were like, okay, you know what, look, let's not force it. God put everything for a certain time. The commission was for this time. And so I carried on doing music with my brother. He's very much into his football and his work at the moment, so he's into that as well. So we kind of split ways, but obviously we're brothers in it, so he was just like, do what you're doing, man, support that throughout. So then I just started off doing stuff individually, as a solo artist, with the release in 2012 of, what is it called, the Entree mixtape. That's my first mixtape that I ever put out anything on my own, solo, and got a lot of feedback and reception. Went on to do the Phoenix 2 years later. OHA last year, and I'm now working on one more mixtape and then just the final album. So it's been a long, process. Even before then, I've been doing poetry and music, and it's been a long road, but we're still here.
Yeah, that's blessed, man. So what made you start One Hit Away? Because Red's a record label now, right?
Well, I'm trying to get it all sorted out, business-wise and admin, but that's the aim, One Hit Away it came about last year with the EP. It was almost that was the name of the EP, and that was just literally because I was going to stop music. I was just tired, I was just done. It's a lot of work, even when we were saying off camera, it's a lot of work doing this music thing. It's a lot of work, do you know what I'm saying? Doing stuff behind the scenes, whether it's paying for videos, treatments, whether it's doing video shoots, photo shoots, trying to get PR, trying to get your music out to bloggers, trying to get playlists, all this stuff. It's a lot, and I think I just felt I'm dealing with that, and I've got life to deal with this as well. And then I met someone who liked the music, a supporter, and they were like, keep doing what you're doing, man, because you're one hit away, you just don't know. And I was just like, and this was in Shoreditch. It was just a random conversation, and I thought, you know what, it's true, everybody's one hit away, whether it's your business, whether it's your fashion line, whatever you're doing, you're just one business card away, one client away from it just catapulting. So I just thought, I'm going to take that as a title, but I'm also going to use that as my mantra. That's the thing I say in the morning, even before coming here in the morning. That's what I say to myself, constantly, and it's almost like a self-affirmation that just keep going. And so I spoke to Dennis from A Step Forward,
He's a blessed guy as well.
Yeah, great guy, man. And he was like, don't just isolate that to music. Like, make sure that can live outside music. And I thought, it's true. Like, let's branch that out into, an awards an award system where we reward people who are literally who I feel like, you just one hit away. Let me encourage you in that aspect. So it's that's kind of where it came from, and I was trying to grow it and grow it. I wanted in the future have like a fund, one hit away fund, like where we can actually donate to other people's projects. Like, you need money for a video, go do that. You need money to get your stuff mixed and mastered, go do that. You're trying to do an event, you ain't got money for the venue, go do that. So the idea was that it expands way beyond just music, and it empowers and encourages people around me.
Yeah, it sounds blessed, man. I know a lot of artists would definitely appreciate that, because I think it's kind of one of the, if we take it as a subgenre, gospel rap, gospel grime, these like avenues within gospel.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people kind of feel like they're kind of looking around for help, and it's just like a bunch of prayer and a bunch of savings that kind of get you a step in the right direction, but it's like a step to where, you get 100,000 views or whatever, then next time it's like, hey, where do you guys go? I thought you guys were fans, it happened. In terms of that one hit away mantra, what is it one hit away from? How do you define success, or how does success look to you?
For me, success is impact, and impact over numbers, because 2 weeks ago I went to Belmarsh prison, and I went into the other part of it, which is Icie, which is for the young inmates, so it's kind of connected in the same compound. And I went there to do some prison ministry with Icie Raymond and for his team. And I did a song that's going to be coming out on my mixtape called Church Ting. And I was just, they really, 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 really connected with it. They really, really connected with it. I didn't think they would, because I'm asking them to come do the church thing in prison, but they really, really connected to it, and they were like, please come back next week. Have you got next month, have you got a CD, something that we can just take? I was like, but you're already in prison, like, you've got that. You've got Nines, you've got all these other people, like, and I thought, wow, like, okay, like, for real, you kind of connect with this music. So, but I don't have no views. I don't have a lot of views. I'm not in any Spotify playlist. I don't have a lot of press. I haven't got no PR. Like, I'm not really popping. So I just thought, wow. So for me, success is like the impact that you can have through your art. Like, I don't have a lot of views, but I can still impact someone. But I could have views and not impact anyone. Yeah. So for me, that's how I kind of measure it. How impacted is the work that I am doing for people individually and collectively. The numbers are good, don't get me wrong. If you do a headline show and it sells out, yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? One, this shows you the support and you're getting the revenue from it. But at the same time, if I do it and I get 80 people, there's 80 people that came up, 80 people come into your room or your house, it's a problem. So I appreciate like the social metrics, but at the same time I can't. I'm trying not to be defined by it. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I'm like, man, I need the numbers up. What happened? Put £400 into one video and you get 1,000 views. Do you know what I'm saying? So I do struggle with that at times, but I'm trying to keep at the forefront of my mind that, you know what, success, the impact that I can have after I leave.
I feel like I have to jump in because you said the phrase, you're not popping. I think there's, especially within our genre, I think there's artists that will find you because they have that marketing budget, and that goes for music as a whole. And then I think there's artists that you have to go find. Some of them are in the limelight, some not, like, you know. And I think you're on that kind of wall of one day when there's a kind of a gospel rap Hall of Fame. I think you're already in there. You have your spot on the wall because your name and the conversations that your name is in. It's never been in a not popping conversation, but we'll speak to Unique Creation later. I'm sure we'll say the same thing. But you know, I think across the genre, there's Faith, there's Dwayne, there's Jahalza when we'd probably have his like license revoked, but but it would definitely be like up in there as well. You know, Governor B, like those cats in those generation, in terms of the impact that they're having now, is the same as in hip hop or such. And Nas with Jay-Z, there might not be like popping. They're not going to be trending topics for most of the year, but there's there's a solidified status, and I just don't want people watching to underestimate and think you're up and coming artist. You've been doing this thing to a high standard and a high level for a while. It's just sometimes people to catch up, which leads me to the next part in terms of our roles and such. Like the more I look at the genre, the more I feel kind of like, the same way that grime, a lot of guys paved the way and were rapping on the stairs at night for like a hell of a long time with just a few views, and then Stormzy comes along and like, I kind of feel like within our genre, that's something that is pending. In other words, that we're kind of more the John the Baptist type character, paving the way for others to come through. I mean, where do you see you standing in terms of the music? Do you feel like the genre's peaked with yourself and others in it, or do you feel like there's kind of a higher level to come out of the gospel rap genre?
I think it hasn't peaked. I think because everybody's starting to find their place, and I think, like you said, that's so key. Like what you said, being able to know where you sit. There's some people that will, like on their music, it's very Christocentric. That this God. That's all you can hear in it, and that's where they are. And there has been this whole thing in the US about the label, the Christian label, the craze. You're a Christian rapper, are you a Christian rapper that raps, or you're a rapper that is a Christian, and all that stuff. And it's all about knowing what's your lane. What lane have you been called to play? Because if everybody's running their race and their lane, and we're all on the same team, Jamaica, Britain, whatever you are, you're all on the same team on the relay. As long as we're running that race, we can get to the finish line. And we can pass on the baton to the next generation. But if everyone's running, you're supposed to be doing relay, if someone's trying to do long jump, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't know what they're doing that because they think that's popping, or they're doing, high jump or discus because they think that's what's popping. You're not going to be in the lane that you're supposed to be in. And I think once you know what that lane is, then it helps you propel forward and the music forward. So for me, I know that I don't make typical Christocentric music. That's just not what I make. I make music that can connect on both levels. I make music that can connect someone who is of faith and someone that is just totally not. And that's because I know what I am called to do. Someone else may not be called to do that, but I know what I am called to do in doing that and lead forward in that, whether it's being on SBTV, whether it's being on this channel here, whether it's being on Link Up TV, whether it's being on A Step Forward. I can maneuver in between the both. There's only a few people that can do that. And it's knowing what you're here to do and why you're there to do that. I've been born to create and connect people so that I make music that connects people on different levels. Whether you're dealing with suicide, whether you got married, you can plug into what level I'm at, and then I point you to God. That's what I am called to do. But if people don't know what they're called to do, they're going to be doing all these mad different things that take the genre different ways, and they don't know where they sit. But it takes time. It's like I've been in this years, at least 12 years, just trying to figure out, okay, what am I called to do? Even the new mixtape coming out, like it kind of exemplifies that and emphasizes it even more.
To give a title for it, yeah?
I do, but I can't even say it. I can't even say it, yeah. But like that title would really kind of exemplify it and really, really emphasize what it is to know what you're called to do and to run with it. So for me, I know that I'm almost like the person saying, yo, this is what can be. If you know what you're called to do and you walk in it, this is what it can be. Do not be afraid to have faith, but have doubt and put it in art form. Do not be afraid to be someone who has faith, but be a man struggling to understand what is a man supposed to be. So I'm that person who my faith is intact. That's just standard. But the way it comes out, it's the same message, but it's in a different vehicle every single time. That's what I'm called to do. Everyone needs to go and find out what they are called to do. And I think as everyone finds their lane, everybody's running towards that finish line. Governor B running his race amazingly, but not everybody can be a Governor B. Save Child running his race amazingly. Not everyone can be Melvillous. Everyone's running their race in their lane, and it pushes the whole, the whole kind of scene or the sound forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think that definitely comes across in your music. There's it's hard to find the right word. The best word I could come up would be just to say human. And the music feels really human.
I like that.
Yeah, because I think.
Oh, I like that. Maybe an album title.
As a Christian, kind of, you know, I think we might try and portray our struggles, but then kind of the standard that we're trying to adhere to is Christ is kind of the standard.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we rap from the perspective of that standard, and then we might, you know, almost preach as Christ almost, you know, in terms of that ambassador role. But then we don't always preach from the I flopped place, or man, today or this week was tough, or I'm not actually that much of a Superman, you know. Turns out I got all these problems and whatnot. Yeah, and I think that there's quite a few tracks, and it feels to follow that narrative throughout your career. And that if we start with maybe Suicide Note as a track, how does that come about, that track?
Yeah, just like you said, human. When that track came about, when Robin Williams passed away. So I'd written a year or so before, but I thought to put it out when he passed away, because it showed that Robin Williams was someone who was so happy and they see him as a nice person, but he was dealing with madness and then committed suicide. And I thought, okay, but there must be so many other people that must be dealing with that. And so I thought, let me create a song and tell a story, not from my own personal experience, but if I was in those shoes. And so, you know, the song talks about how it's almost like a letter to God, that, look, I'm dealing with all these things, you know, but help me. Like, at the same time, I want to commit suicide, but I don't, but I can't see no way out from it. And so even in the end, it's a letter, not like you get a letter through the door, and it's a letter from God saying, no, I've got you, like, I see what you're going through. I'm not necessarily going to take you out of the situation, you know, but I'm just letting you know that I see what you're going through, like, you're my son, like, you're my child, like, I've got you. And for me, it was just a kind of, I guess, in hope that someone who's dealing with that situation, who knows what those emotions feel like on a raw, honest basis, can believe that there is someone out there. And that could be God for them, but that may not be God. That might be just a friend, that might be a family member, that might be their child, that can represent an element of light or hope in their life in that, you know, deepest part of that deepest, darkest moment. So again, like you said, with the human thing, that's something that people experience. And so my music, I always try to make music that people, again, can connect in and look into and understand. Not everybody has been through that, but there are people who specifically have gone through that situation. They can plug in, and I can point you to God in the interim.
Because another artist doing that track, the chorus would have been, if you commit suicide, you go into hell. That would have been and that's what I mean, just in terms of that human approach you tend to have with it, and almost like you look at it from the inside out rather than the outside in, you know, which I guess feeds into things like empathy and just the ability to put yourself in certain situations or not. So with all you got going on, how you managing to balance with married life and such as well?
Boy, if you look at my Instagram today, if you look at my Insta stories, you'll know exactly, it's so mad he said that, because I was saying in the morning, I've got to come do this interview today. On Monday I'm going to go record a freestyle. I'm trying to get some gigs. I'm trying to plan for the mixtape, and to record and finish the mixtape, write and record the mixtape, mix and master it. At the same time, finish off recording the album, get videos and visuals done for that, do treatments, press releases, etc., etc. Manage my mail. My MailChimp mailing list, update my website. So, and I said in the Instagram stories that it's only Jesus, like it's only Jesus' grace that I can do all that stuff. But one of the main things I think is driving me is, I call it a burden of ambition. Like, there's some people that can wake up in the morning and they just wake up in the morning, I'm going to work, come home, I'm going to bed. I can't do that. I go to work, I've got to do that, but behind me and driving me is a burden of ambition that my life has to count, my life has to matter. Someone said to me when I was very young that, you know, a good mentor, he said that, will it matter? Was it, when you die, will it matter that you lived? He said, when you die, will it matter that you lived, that you even existed on this earth? I think from the day he said that, it put like a seed in me that it has to matter, that my funeral has to be jam-packed, there cannot be room, because of the impact I make. So that drives me. So even though I'm juggling all these things, even when I'm tired, it's 2 a.m. and I know I've got work in the morning, I'm like, okay, I've just got to do 1 more hour because I've got to make this count. So God, give me the grace, give me the strength, give me the ability to manage all these things. But on a practical level, I also try and isolate things. So if I'm working on music in this period, I'm working on music. If I'm doing the sit down, I'm doing the sit down. So let's not do writing anything, let's not do any music. I won't listen to music for like a couple of weeks. Let's just focus on my creative energy, on the sit down. Once I've done that, OHA awards, let's do that. So that's one thing also that helps me, like literally isolating things. And my diary, without my diary, I would not have known we had this morning. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even have known. So there's the practical aspect, but the spiritual aspect is just God's grace, man. Totally, 100%.
Yeah, so you're already stretched. I mean, we just heard about your schedule, and then you decided to do the sit down and the 1 Year Away Awards.
Yeah,
so what's the thinking?
I don't know. Do you know what? Again, I'm a serial creative. That's what I am. I realized like a couple of weeks ago, I'm a serial creative. I love to create. I look for, okay, what's the next thing that I create and give? And I realized, like, why are you like that though? I used to, when we were talking on camera, I used to do photography. I did Jesus in my logo badges. All these things are just, I've realized God gives me the ability to create, and then he says, create, give the people a platform to engage in it, go and find something else. And so all these things are just me applying my creative ability to something that's going to count and it's going to matter. So yeah, the sit down, and it comes from me inside what I want to see. So I didn't see the sit down around. I didn't see people being human and being able to strip off all the layers. And Melville came to the last one, he was performing, and he said, if you want to see the core of a person, come to the sit down. I thought, right, that's a good way to sum it up. If you want to, like we had Governor B at the last one, and he stripped himself. I was asking him questions that I didn't know 100% if he was actually going to answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't tell you what I'm going to, I don't tell you the specific questions, I tell you the subjects. I won't tell you the questions.
Yeah.
And his father passed away recently.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just going in, I was like, guys, maybe we should stop there. But I was just like, no, but if we don't, one is for him personally, help therapeutically, but if we don't unveil that, then people can't understand what it is to be Governor B, but still dealing with all this madness behind. So I guess one thing that runs through all the threads, the thread that runs through all the things I'm doing is that humanity and being able to show that. And because we're so frail and because we're so weak, that's why we need God to help us. Because we're dealing with this, we're dealing with that. That's why I'm saying, look, that's who I point to, because that's the person that's helped me. So whether it's, the sit down or OHA awards, it's just the idea of let's bring the realness of who we are to the forefront. And so we all understand that we need God in some level and in some way.
Yeah, I'm gonna need another interview with you or something. We got some stuff you still need to get into. For real. But you've been watching the uni sessions with your host Jay Walker of TLD and Icie over there. I'm definitely gonna try and get him back again. But for now, uni sessions where gospel lives. See you soon.